Hello everyone, welcome to Fitz's Guinea Vision. I hope you are having a wonderful day. In today's video, I just want to give you a couple of pros and cons about having big or small enclosures. So this enclosure, I consider to be a big one. It is a 5x2 using 14-inch grids, giving these two beautiful pigs 13.6 square feet. Now, some of you may wonder, why do they need such big space when they are such small, tiny little animals? Now, they're not that tiny. There are smaller animals out there. But they are small enough compared to like a dog or a cat. Now, the one pro to having a big cage is that you can fit decent-sized hidey spaces in there for them. Some of these hidey spaces would have been typically used for a bunny rabbit, and still could, technically. But I believe in giving my guinea pigs enough space that they are not cramped. Another pro to having a big cage is you can typically contain messes to one area. So, for example, the hay, they tend to make a huge mess of it, but it generally does not go that much farther outside of this little area right here. Now, I haven't done my spot clean this morning yet, so this is why I'm doing this video quickly right now, so I can give you the examples that I need to. Typically, guinea pigs poop and pee most where they hide, and where they sleep, and where they eat. So this entire spot right here, from here to the back end of the wall, is what I call their kitchen area. They have the hay back there. They typically have their pellet dish right here. They must have knocked it over overnight because the dishes I put up there, but the pellets are all there. So typically the pellets are right here, the hay is right there, and then just off to each side they have access to their water bottles. So the middle of the cage I put as their kitchen area. And everybody has their layouts different. This is a system that works for me, so this is what I do. Now, as you can see in their hidey spots, there is some poop. There's not a whole lot, but there is some. It's harder to see on this one because it's brown. But if I put the flash on, maybe? Yeah. So you can see there's a small pile of poop there. Ow. And then if you look closely here, you can see there's poop where the hay is. Not as much, but there is. Now, again, also over here, there's a massive big pile of poop. This is their Timothy hay tunnel. It's a tunnel. It also acts as something that they can chew on, but it's also a hidey. Now, because they have their next door neighbors, the trio right here, they can all interact through the grids. So this seems to be the spot where they hang out the most. So majority of the poop that I find is either right here or right in the middle. So generally that side of the cage is usually fairly clean. It doesn't take long to spot clean the poops. But that is the pros to having a larger size cage. You won't have to do a whole big clean out every single day. So what I do for me is, as you can see, I have these little bath mats. I have the main liner underneath, but I have these bath mats and smaller pee pads. Those I spot clean daily. If they are not soaking wet, then I reuse it for another day, or for even that very day. And if it's soaking wet, I change it out, I put a fresh one in, and it's just easier to keep the cage clean that way, versus having to wash the entire main liner every day. The other pro to having a larger cage is that if you don't have the time to be able to give them daily exercise or floor time, then it's okay, because having a large enough cage gives them that room that they need to do their exercise, and they can do their zoomies or run around or popcorn at their leisure when they want to do it, rather than having to accommodate your schedule. So for example, I have all my storage under here with wires and stuff. So for me to give them floor time, it would make it a little bit more challenging, because that would mean I have to either tie up all the cords so that they can't access it. I'd have to find another spot for all my storage stuff, which is not a big deal. If I had to, I can put it in the closet and make room. But it's just, these are things that I typically use mostly on an everyday basis, so that's why it's under here. But not everybody has that space to be able to give their guinea pigs floor time. So that is why I provide my guinea pigs with a large enough cage that they can do their daily exercise at their leisure. Not only that, but it is very amusing and very pleasing and satisfying to watch happy guinea pigs doing popcorns and zoomies. In fact, once I get this all cleaned up and freshened for the day, you might get to witness some of that. So now over in the trio's cage is the same concept. I spot clean twice a day. There is very little poop in this half, okay? But for the trio, again, this would be their kitchen area lined up the same as the other one. You got your pellet bowl, which has some poop in it, so I gotta clean that out. You got your hay area, which, as you can see, is contained to mostly that area, which is great. Now over here, under the fleece forest, there is lots of poops. And there's lots of poops right there, right near the hay. And lots of poops here. So for the trio, most of their poops end up from basically here to here, which means it takes a quick couple of seconds to clean this area. So again, that's a pro to having a bigger cage. You still have to spot clean every day no matter what, but the main cleanup and the main change of the liners and everything, you can get away with doing that only once a week. I don't know if you caught that, but I think Lucy just popcorned. But I'm going to get to cleaning this, and I will be back with you guys very shortly. And in a blink of an eye, we have a clean cage again. All I did was take out the old wet ones and put new ones in. So I just need to quickly put some stuff away, and I will be right back. So, just like us humans, another good thing about having a large enough cage for your guinea pigs is that sometimes we annoy each other, and sometimes guinea pigs can annoy each other. And you'll find that out if you have more than 2 guinea pigs. If you see them nose punching each other or chasing each other, as long as there's no blood drawn or piggy tornadoes, then all will be fine in the end. But having a large enough cage allows each guinea pig to have their own space or corner. So in this enclosure right here, there's only 3 guinea pigs. But as you can see, I have 4 different corners that they can retreat to. How can you resist this cuteness? And that cuteness right there. Look at these cutenesses. Boop. Boop. Booty boop. Okay, sorry. I got distracted. So just like in Eliza and Jane's cage, I have technically 4 different spots for them to retreat to as well. There's under the log, under that hay tunnel, or even behind it can be counted as a spot because sometimes they do that. There's this tunnel right here, and then if they really want, they can go under that corner hidey. So I always try to give them as much space as possible. I try to maximize the space that they have without having to go too big. And I will get into that a little bit later. Another example is the boys. So all their enclosures are all the same. They're all 5x2. They're all 14-inch grids. They all equal 13.6 square feet. So there's only 2 boys in here. They have lots and lots of running space, but they also have 3 different areas that they could retreat to if they need to hide or if they feel scared. There's the tunnels. There's that red hidey. Sometimes I rotate it out. They also have a green tent. Excuse me. So the other perk to having a large enough cage is that, yes, there's stuffed guinea pigs in here if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen it before. But another perk to having a large enough guinea pig cage is, aside from the fact that you don't have to do a full clean out as often, is that it gives you the space that if you did want to put a litter tray in there and try and litter train your guinea pigs, you can do that without having to interfere with their play area. And by play area, I mean the area where they can run around and do zoomies. I personally don't try and litter train my guinea pigs because, as I've mentioned before, they tend to pee and poop most where they eat and where they sleep. Sometimes they will sleep in the same area as where they eat, but other times they don't. So just because of that factor alone, it is next to impossible to 100% litter train your guinea pigs, but you can train them to going mostly in one area. Which, as I've shown you before, with my girls, they tend to do it mostly in the kitchen area and in one area of where their hideys are. So now I'm going to list off a couple of cons to having a large guinea pig cage. Con number 1 is that not everybody has the space to be able to do this. I just happen to have a full spare bedroom that I'm able to do this, so it works for me. But not everyone is able to, and that's okay. Another con to having a large enclosure like this, or even bigger, as I've seen a lot of other people having, is that it makes it harder for you to be able to bond with your guinea pigs. Booty boop. If you have a huge cage, bigger than what I have, for only, let's say, 3 guinea pigs, if you need to do health checks, or if there's an emergency and you need to evacuate your building, or for whatever the reason might be. If you have too large of an enclosure, have fun chasing your guinea pigs to put them in a carrier to get them to safety. I know some people would say, oh, in an emergency, well, you just evacuate and don't worry. But these are my furry children. So I would not just leave the building and let them burn and die. That's not how I am. I'd rather be the one to die and have them, have chance at a better life. But we're not talking negative like that. Chances of that happening is a 50-50. Hopefully it never does for me or you. But the point is that it could happen. And if you have too large of a cage, it's going to make it a lot harder for you to be able to scoop them up, to put them to safety. Another con is depending on what kind of bedding you use. If you're using fleece, it's a huge expense up front. Long term, it's great because the fleece liners will last a very long time. But the upfront cost, not everyone can afford to do that. However, as you can see, I keep my boys on wood shavings, kiln-dried aspen. And even this is costly. It takes one full package of 141 liter bag, as you can see down here. Hashtag not sponsored, but I will show you what I use for the boys. As you can see right there, it says kiln dried. But this is what I use for my boys, and it costs $20 per bag, Canadian dollars. And I change it out every 5 to 7 days. So on average, I'm spending close to $100 a month just on the bedding. Not everyone can afford that. Now, for some people who might use a smaller enclosure, now I'm gonna give you an example, okay? The minimum cage requirement space-wise for 2 guinea pigs would be a 3x2, which, if I'm correct, is 7.5 square feet. So, picture these 2 extra grids from right here. That is all extra space that I'm choosing to give them because I'm able to. But typically they only would require the 3x2, 7.5 to 8 square feet. Usually they say for boys to give more space because they can be territorial, but not all guinea pigs are the same. So what judgment I give about my boys is not going to be the same as what's for your boys or for your girls, whatever the case might be. So there's sizing, there's cost, there's the potential risk of not being able to capture your pigs if you need to evacuate for emergency being a con. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else. I can't think of anything at the moment. If you can think of something that I missed, please comment below, let me know. Because I'm drawing a blank right now. I also need to eat and get dressed and start my day. But I just wanted to hop on here and I want to talk to you about this because, everybody that I've been hearing in the guinea pig community so far on like YouTube and everything, yes, we are all about the more space, the better. But it's not a matter of if you can't give 2 guinea pigs this big space, then you're a horrible owner, you shouldn't have them. I'm sorry, but people who say that, well, I like to do certain things that I'm not going to say over social media. I'll leave it to your imagination. No, it's not anything crazy like murder or anything. That's horrible. No, I'd never do that. Never, 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 never. But some people will never truly understand what it's like to be on the lower end of things until they are in that position. At one point in time, I was never able to provide my guinea pigs this much space. If you followed my channel from the beginning, you might know that Lucy and Savannah, when I first got them at 2 weeks old, they used to live in a rabbit cage because I didn't know better at that point, and I was convinced that, you know what, if it's too small of a cage, let me learn that on my own. Let me make that mistake. And I'm glad I did that because I learned it on my own rather than having someone at a pet store tell me, no, it has to be this way, it can't be this way. Let me waste my money on a cage store. If that's what I want to do with my money, then let me do it. I'll make that mistake and I'll learn from it. Not everyone will be able to learn what their errors are and how to improve without making the mistake first. And unfortunately, sometimes it'll be at the cost of an animal, but not in a huge negative way. Because, again, when I first got Lucy and Savannah, they were only 2 weeks old, so they literally fit in the palm of this hand. Like, take away the edge of my fingers there, literally fit in the palm of my hand. So, at that point, the rabbit cage that I first started out with was, when I measured internally, it was a 36-inch by 16-inch. So yes, it was very small, but for guinea pigs that were literally only this small, it was an okay size. It was safe for them to use. And then 3 weeks later, when I adopted Tokyo, I had repurposed a baby's crib, which came to 51 inches. So, as I showed you before with the boys, on the extra space that I'm giving them, basically around where this water bottle is to there was the size of a baby's crib. And that's what I had used. I had repurposed it. I had mesh wire along the sides so that they couldn't get out from the bars. And it did the trick. And then when I was financially able to upgrade them to this CNC cage, I did it. And I mean, for me, I notably noticed the difference on just having that extra space and what it did for them. But because they are prey animals, you also don't want to give them too much space because then there will be more for them to fear. I'm not sure if that makes any sense to you. But to me it does, and I've noticed that. Like, if I did not have Eliza and Jane and I was to remove the separation grid here and the trio had just this entire spot, well, some of you might have seen in my previous videos sometimes how hard it is just for me to try and capture Savannah, my most skittish pig. And if they had this entire area, which would be 27.1 square feet, I would never catch her. By the time I'd corner her, she'd like jump out and get into another spot. It would be next to impossible to catch her. And for doing health checks, for evacuating in case of emergency, anything like that, you want to be able to get your pig out of their cage if you need to. So having too much space is a massive con. I don't care what other people think. You know, if you want to give your guinea pigs an entire bedroom free roam, not in a cage, by all means go for it. If it works for you, then that's what matters. This system is what works for me. I'm happy. You know, I once thought about giving them a loft. And I still think about that every now and then. I mean, sure, it would be nice, but they don't need the loft, really. if I was able to do anything for them at any other given point, what I would do, I would maybe, I'd probably put the money to use and get them new toys or new hideys, or I would just pull out the cage and expand it just a tad bit more. But other than that, there wouldn't be a whole lot that I would do differently. I mean, I think I'm doing a pretty okay job for now, and I'm sure all of you are too. Now, let's talk about smaller cages. I know this is going to be a very long video, and I apologize, but it just makes it easier. Sorry, I'm sitting down for a moment. Now, one con to using smaller cages is the frequency on how often you have to clean out your bedding, regardless of what bedding you use. If you're using a store-bought cage, do I have it in here? It shows my example. Okay, I kind of do, yeah. It's not put together. Hang on. So store-bought cage, about that size in length. If you were to use that, you'd probably have to clean it out in full, maybe every second to third day. Because, as you can see, guinea pigs are pooping machines. It's a big poop. But using smaller cages, you would have to clean it out more frequently. The other downside would be that, just like us humans, if we're with too many people in a very small space, we can feel very claustrophobic and overcrowded, and sometimes it will make us feel agitated, and we might get angry at people, or we might pick fights with people because we feel closed in and we don't have enough space. Well, guinea pigs can feel that kind of thing too. So a con to having a small cage is sometimes your guinea pigs may feel closed in and not have their own space, that they will end up fighting with the other guinea pig. So as you can see, Eliza is at that end. Jane is in this end. So they have their space. We got Lucy. We got Savannah. We got Tokyo. They all have their own space. You got Andre. Then you got Bruno. They had their own space. So ultimately, in the end, it's all about what works for you. But those are just some pros and cons to having bigger cages versus smaller cages. I'm sure there's a lot more cons to using smaller cages, just because I went on about pros to having the bigger cages. I'm sure you can put the 2 and 2 together to figure out what all the cons would be to smaller cages. For someone who doesn't have that much space in their house, let's say they only had that table to work with, that much space for an enclosure. Well, you can easily build a 2x4 probably. Now this is a 4-foot table, so yeah, if you were to use the 12-inch CNC grids, you can easily put a 2x4 on this size table, which is the equivalent to my 2x3. Or you can use a store-bought cage, I guess, if you went for the biggest possible one. Now, I will link in, if I'm able to, I'm going to link in the iCards an older video that I have from when I used the DIY crib idea for the cage. And in that video, it'll show you some unique ways of being able to create hiding areas to maximize the space that you have without taking away space. So I will try and hopefully be able to link that video in the cards above so you can see it. And then it'll give you all an idea of how you can make things work with what little or big amount of space that you have. So some of you might think, well, you have this big empty table. You could get more guinea pigs and put them on that table. I could, but I won't. For the simple fact, this table I use as my storage. Or not really storage per se, like I have my breakfast sitting right there, I still have to finish. I have their peppers and lettuce that I gotta put back away. But usually when I'm doing my health checks or board cleaning, well, board cleaning would fall under health checks, but usually when I'm doing any of that, I sit down at this table. Sometimes I just come up here and I will use my laptop and I will just do what I normally do during the day, but I will do it up here so that I can spend time with the guinea pigs and so that they can get used to my voice and me being in the room sometimes, because I usually spend most of my time downstairs in the living room or I'm doing things outside, but I want them to be used to me being in the room too. So sometimes that's what I do. So that's what that table is for. So sure, if I wanted to give them more space and they needed more space, I can expand. But this table has a different purpose, so it will never happen that way. And, you know, as you can see, I've got storage, I've got things that have a spot. So it works. There's some people out there that, you know, they have a room like this and they'll have like cages on the top, they'll have cages on the bottom. For those who do true rescuing, like Scotty's Animals, LA Guinea Pig Rescue, for the Love of Guinea Pigs Rescue and Sanctuary in New Brunswick, the Ottawa Guinea Pig Rescue, places like that do true rescuing, then by all means, that would work, because that is extra space you can use to put a cage to help save a guinea pig's lives. But for those that are just getting guinea pigs for the sake of getting guinea pigs and then saying that they're rescuing them, that's a whole other video. Which I think I have actually already done a similar rant about that before, so yeah. So I know a lot of videos, people, you know, they talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. They get straight to the point so they can keep their viewers' attention span. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm not like that. I'm human. My brain is just all over the map. And what you see is what you get. This is me talking from my personal experience. This is me sharing my personal experience. This is me showing you my true self and, you know, how I am. I love my pigs. I'd do anything for them. It's okay. I'd do anything for them. All 7 of them. And for that reason is why I won't take in any more guinea pigs unless it's a utter dire urgent situation that needed it. So I'm gonna end this video here because this video was supposed to be about me talking to you about pros and cons about big versus small cages, and I got sidetracked and distracted quite a bit throughout the video. So I apologize about that, but if you have stuck through the whole video and you've listened to everything, and if you feel I have missed any points about, pros and cons with big versus small cages, feel free to leave in the comment below. Let me know what I've missed, because chances are I missed a lot. That's a given. I probably missed a lot of, important factors to take into consideration that other people should know about. And we'd like to thank you for watching. And we would like to invite you back to watch our next video. But in order for you to watch our next video, you need to be subscribed to our channel. And you need to click on the notification bell. And then you'll be notified of all future content. So we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And we will all see you in the next video. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.